Alright, Jedi Survivor has been out for several months now. I meant to make videos about it sooner, but I was moving and I just really wasn't getting anything done. Now I've got time though, so let's dive on in. I'm gonna go over all 5 lightsaber stances and how they should be used. First up, single blade stance. This stance is the most well-rounded. I tend to play pretty defensively in this stance. Once the skill tree is fully upgraded, you'll have access to cleaving swing, lunging strike, cyclone slash, aerial assault, and dash strike. You can use lunging strike, aerial assault, or dash strike to stop one-on-ones before they even begin. I recommend blocking and waiting for an opportunity to lash out with lunging strike or dash strike. Using those attacks to cover space quickly is even more key in group fights. Overall, very reliable and viable in any situation. Next up, double-bladed stance. This is the crowd control weapon of choice. It's also surprisingly good at keeping pressure on a single opponent. This is my least used stance, as I tend to use the Force to do crowd control. Once maxed, the stance gives you access to focus attack, a follow-up called double orbit, repulsing burst, vortex dive, rising storm, and controlled throw. Use this stance to stop weaker enemies from ganging up on you. Double orbit can thin crowds, while vortex dive can help you move through them. It's honestly a good stance, and the range is great, but I tend to prefer stances that do more damage. It can be really useful for random enemies, but I would never use it against a boss. Oh, and once you parry one blaster shot, you'll auto parry the rest. I don't love this one, but it does its job. I use it when I have large crowds, and then I switch back to another stance. Now we come to the dual wield stance. This is the go-to stance for boss fights. Dual wielding gives you focused parry. As long as it's active, you'll automatically parry all blockable attacks. This means any 1v1 is easy, as long as you have the activation timing down. The upgrade, Precision Release, allows you to release the parry early for a really damaging attack. You can use Twin Vipers or Dancing Blades to hit multiple targets, and Backstep Slash and Uncoiled Strikes to close distance. Oh, and you can cancel every attack by hitting the block button, so you don't have to commit to anything. Be very aggressive and use the focus parry to stop the enemy from gaining momentum. Second Amendment stance. In this stance, you're all about range, as the gun might make you assume. You have an ammo bar that refills with consecutive attacks, and you can use the move Energizing Flurry to refill the ammo bar faster. You can select 3 different charged blaster effects: an explosive blast, a ricocheting blast, and a stun blast. You'll unlock Flying Lunge and Quick Draw as well. Forget all of that though, because the important skill is Point Blank. This lets you parry anything, including some unblockables. This alone makes this arguably the best stance in the game. Use the blaster to pick off the weaker enemies from a distance. Mix in blaster shots with your combos to deal intermittent damage, and use Flying Lunge to break guards. This is essentially the Great Sword stance, and it's my favorite. It's slow, but it hits like a truck. You have access to Uppercut, Rending Strike, Impact, Sundering Swipe. Your lightsaber throws have an area of effect, and they can be charged to go through multiple enemies. When you use this stance, you need to treat the game like Dark Souls. Dodge, block, and wait for a chance to split your enemy in half. If you use Force Slam, you generally have time to get off a Rending Strike, and one Rending Strike is generally all you need. And that's all 5 lightsaber stances. Keep in mind that every single one is viable, and parry at every opportunity. And yeah, that's all I got. Deuces.